Hey guys, welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. And we have Dave Aronberg joining us here tonight too, the former state attorney of Palm Beach County, but we're going to just call him Florida lawman tonight.
Maritza, great to be with you and the senator. And I love the Pearl Jam soundtrack.
Thanks. We like it too, so it's good.
So we want to just, first of all, say apologies. I actually question if we should do an episode tonight, Senator, because it's Friday night. And somebody wrote me and said, we're missing your podcast. And I realized I have not published any of our audio podcasts this week because I've been in Minneapolis on the streets, busy talking to people there and being a journalist, basically, for what's going on. But we wanted to hop on tonight because there's been a lot of headlines today, and it's hard to even know where to start. Senator, you have anything you want to say before we jump in?
I mean, look, I got up this morning and found out that Don Lemon was arrested for covering what happened in Minneapolis. And I don't, Pam Bondi, who obviously is out for political retribution any way she can find it, and I hope that doesn't get me arrested, for God's sakes. I mean, holy mackerel. It's just unbelievable what's gone on in the last year. And everybody that you talk to goes, I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't know it was going to be this bad. We got people getting shot on the streets. We got people that are being arrested for being journalists. We got institutions of higher ed being called on the carpet for no reason. The same thing with the news media, and it just goes on and on. We've got 3,000 ICE people that obviously aren't well trained. They don't even know the Second Amendment and the administration. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Today was a important day because this is the first day that I remember where journalists have been arrested, just like they're arrested in other authoritarian states. And I think, Maritza, you know this. It wasn't just Don Lemon that got arrested, correct?
Correct. So let's get people up to speed, and then we want to bring Dave in here. So he just spoke a short time ago. Don Lemon, of course, very big name in the broadcast journalism world, worked at CNN for a long time. He's been in this independent media space that we are in, Senator, for a while, and he's a big name in this independent media space. So he just took the podium. He just had a hearing. He said that they arrested him in the middle of the night for something he'd been doing for 30 years. And he said he looked forward to his day in court. So here's the deal. He and this woman named Georgia Fort, who's an independent journalist in Minneapolis, is both arrested. The president has amplified calls for Don Lemon to be in jail. Now, these charges stem back to this demonstration in a church in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago. And Don Lemon was there documenting it. And I do have a short little clip here that we can play from part of that, and then we'll bring you in, Dave, I promise.
A harmless Christian here that wants to praise the Lord with my son, and now I got to go home. I'm sorry that you guys are so angry.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group.
What do I have to say?
Can you understand why they're angry?
I don't understand any of this because I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man who loves the Lord and is a good father. This is what we look forward to, is coming, being with our family and praising Jesus, and that's not something that we have to run away from. So this is kind of a bad day for us. But, we're going to heaven, so that's the best news we got.
Do you understand that some of these folks feel voiceless?
I don't understand, because right now I'm so upset right now, I don't really have a much...
Okay, so that's part of what happened, and he was inside the church. But he said very clearly multiple times he was just there chronicling, I'm a journalist. The irony here for me, Dave, is that this indictment says that Don Lemon impeded the churchgoers' First Amendment rights. So weigh in. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, well, Maritza, it's good to be with you. Remember, the federal prosecutors went to a conservative judge in Minnesota, Judge Schultz, to try to get him to sign off on the charges. Judge Schultz, who previously had clerked for Justice Antonin Scalia, so you can't say he's part of the deep state, he rejected it and said that Lemon is a journalist and there's no criminal conduct here. And then the DOJ went to a grand jury, which they have the right to do, and they got an indictment after they couldn't get one through the judge, which the judge is to charge directly. The indictment is to grant a grand jury. You know how they say that a grand jury could indict a ham sandwich. So it's a low burden, and I do expect that these charges will never even get to a jury, just like the James Comey case, just like the Letitia James case. They will fall because this is weak sauce. These are weak. It is true he was with the group in the church, and I saw some video where he apparently knew that the group would go into the church, and they're going to use that against him to say, see, you're part of the conspiracy. But it's different than when you know what's going on and you're participating than when you are a journalist following the story. And the First Amendment is broad, it is powerful. And a lot of the same people who are cheering this on the far right are the same people who claim that they stand up for the First Amendment and that they stand up for the Second Amendment. And we've seen now that their knowledge of the Constitution or their belief in the Constitution falls flat when it's their side impinging upon these constitutional rights.
So, Dave, let me ask you this: we had an individual on from Florida that talked about Bondi being.
It was him.
You were the one. You were the one. You were the law. Were you a lawman back then?
Yeah.
You
We worked with Pam Bondi, and yes, I already talked to him about that. Go ahead, Senator.
So that I get to hit you straight up with it. Why is Bondi doing this? She's smarter. She's smarter than this. She knows these charges won't stand up. Don't you think?
Yeah,
so
I think
why
that.
is she doing it?
Sorry, Senator, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
I think that these decisions are being run out of the White House. This is Trump's retribution tour. He told us what he was going to do. He's going to go after his enemies: Letitia James, James Comey, John Bolton, although that case seems stronger, and now Don Lemon. And I think if you're going to keep your job as a cabinet secretary, you're going to be loyal to the boss and go along with this. And obviously, I disagree with this. I think that these charges are politically motivated. I don't think they stand up. They will stand up in court. But I do think that just like with the decisions over Jeffrey Epstein, the decisions are being made at the direction of President Trump. He sees the Department of Justice as his own personal law firm. He's been open about that. So the problem is that you can get your sugar high right away and get to see your enemies have to get fingerprinted and processed and have to pay for lawyers. But then the humiliation is at the end of that tunnel because the charges are going to be dropped. And when that happens, Trump is going to be outraged because not only will the case be lost, but you're making Don Lemon into a super martyr. If you think Don Lemon was popular in independent media before this, he's going to be a giant afterwards. You have increased his standing amongst not just his own followers and supporters, but from a large swath of the American people who don't want to see journalists be charged with crimes.
Yeah, and one thing, one of our viewers on Substack says the charges won't hold up, but the harassment is the point. And I agree with that. I mean, there's a reason they went after independent journalists here because they don't have the backing of a legal department that one of the big networks would have. And I worry about this other woman, Georgia Fort. I mean, she live streamed the moment that the agents came to her door. And she went on and she was visibly scared. You heard her kids in the background upset. And, you know, the legal fees and everything, all the time and all this. But I think you're right about Don Lemon. I think this only amplifies him.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. This is what I thought about Letitia James and James Comey. If you really hate your enemies, why are you giving them a platform? Why are you making them into super martyrs? And for Don Lemon, you know, he makes his living now as an independent journalist. So this is a great way to have people talk about you and subscribe. And I think in the end, this is going to be good for him. Right now, it's not pleasant, but he's getting more attention now than he ever did at CNN.
Yeah, the only thing that bothers me here, and I think it intimidates a lot of people in the press, But if these guys can arrest him on no charges, why won't they eventually be able to make the charges stick when they get enough people driven out of these agencies?
Well, you can indict a ham sandwich. You can indict people on minimal grounds, but there has to be at least some grounds. And here, the hook they used against Lemon is that he went into a church where people involved in that group were charged, and I think legitimately, because when you go into a church and disrupt services, if you are obstructing, not just going in there and saying, we hate ICE, stop ICE, that's not enough. You've got to be obstructing and blocking people from leaving. If you've got that, then that's worthy of a charge. If you don't, those charges too will fail. If Don Lemon was part of that, knew in advance, then he could be charged with low-level trespassing. But as far as violating the FACE Act or the KKK Act, which is ironic that you're charging him under the KKK Act, a gay black man, that's going to fall flat.
Oh, okay. Last question about this. Do you think that, I mean, we talked about this when we first had you on, Dave, that there was a red line for Pam Bondi. You worked with her, you know her. Do you think we're getting closer to that line?
Yeah, I always thought that when it came to charging Trump's political enemies, that it would not be based on pure politics. There would have to be real evidence. And this case, I just think, is really weak, unless there's something out there that I don't know about. The stuff that I've seen does not amount to a crime. And you don't have to believe me. Just ask conservative Judge Schultz, who thought it was ridiculous for Lemon to be charged here. So I'm not alone, obviously I strongly disagree with these charges, unless of course there's something that I'm not privy to. But I just think this is another example of, we all have friends for many years who are Republicans, but now the Republican Party is the party of Trump, and you have to be loyal to Trump. And there are things that Trump does and believes in that are antithetical to our democracy, to our rule of law. And it's something that the Republican Party is going to have to deal with into the future, because now they're a party of one.
Okay, I do want to ask you about the Epstein files, because I know Dave's at an airport. He's kind enough to join us while he's waiting for a flight. But the DOJ released 3 million more pages of these files today. There was one document that was shown and then taken down and then listed again. I opened this one. You have to click a button that says you're 18 to even get into it. It's got language in there I don't want to repeat, but it's basically a database of tips and complaints and reports. And there are some really disturbing things in there. Now, the DOJ says, okay, these documents could include fake stories because they're basically putting out anything ever sent to the FBI. I'm just wondering your take on all of this. Like, what should we be, I mean, especially you being from South Florida, what should we be really watching for as we continue to get this slow drip of information about the Epstein files?
I was surprised that they allowed that out, because it had an unsubstantiated allegation against Trump in there that was really damning. Underage girl making this, and I was surprised to let it out. And sure enough, short time later, they took it down. One of the reasons why they are taking so long in rolling out these documents is because they want to protect Trump, and they don't want allegations out there, because even though they're supposed to put things out there, very worried about the smoke, not necessarily the fire. There's no proof that Trump committed any crimes here, but Trump doesn't even want to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein anymore. He doesn't want to be in the same sentence. He sure doesn't want to have an allegation that he committed a crime in there. So I was surprised that they put it out. But under the act, there's nothing that I see that would redact that would force that to be taken out of the production. The act says that if something is embarrassing, that's not a reason to redact it. That's not a reason to keep it secret. So, but this administration has said that we're going to protect not just the names of the victims, but names of the accused and that's something that may have to be litigated in court.
Yeah, the amazing thing is for me is that there's been, and this, the president's been pretty obviously for releasing the files, and then pretty obviously against releasing the files after he got elected, after he made the campaign promise to release them. And the real question here is that, where nobody in the administration talks about the victims at all, and nobody recognizes the fact that these people's lives have been changed, and not in a positive way, because of all this garbage that happened with Epstein and the people that endorsed Epstein's actions. And I just, at some point in time, now that the files are released, is there any accountability there for those victims?
Well, apparently the victims were still, some names were still divulged, and they're not supposed to be in this latest release.
Right.
So the only way there'll be real accountability for the victims is if there's a full release of these documents, which I don't anticipate to happen before Trump is out of office. I think they're going to wait until Trump's out of office. Then you'll see, I think, the rest of the documents. And then if there are still co-conspirators who can be charged with a crime, then that needs to happen too. I think both are very difficult, because first, you're going to have to wait years until Trump's out of office to get to see everything. There is no built-in enforcement mechanism in the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The members of Congress who wrote that act did not put a penalty in for non-compliance. That was a mistake. So that's why you see the slow roll. There's no sanction. There's no penalty for doing so. Yeah, there's no beef, right? And we really should call them out for it, because I know that, we're presuming they're so virtuous that they wrote this great act. The act is not that great. It's riddled with loopholes. It has no enforcement mechanism. It needed to be stronger. And then we need to know the names of the co-conspirators if there's proof. I don't want to embarrass people where it's just an unsubstantiated allegation, but there's nothing in the act that protects those individuals. They're not supposed to be protected from embarrassment. So I think that we're a sophisticated enough society that if there is an allegation without more against someone, it could be put out there and it won't result in any criminal charge, and we can discuss it in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, and so many people in our chat right now are reminding us, and it's a good point. We see these women now coming out talking about, the survivors, but they were not women when this happened. They were just girls, and it's so important to remember that. All right, Dave, anything else you want to talk about? You want to talk about Minneapolis at all before we let you go?
How about this? I'd like to talk, if I could, about the thing that really worries me, and that is Fulton County.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, I'm really worried about that. The 2020 election has been debated and redebated over and over and over again, and there's no reason why there should be the ballot seized. And the only reason why I can see them doing that was not to relitigate 2020, but to say that we found fraud and use it as an excuse to federalize the elections, take it over from the states and local governments, and to meddle. And I think that is bad, especially when you see Tulsi Gabbard there. That is really dangerous, because she has no business for being there. That's not her jurisdiction. It's not her role, unless she's chasing the ghost of Hugo Chavez. But the fact that she was there means that something nefarious, in my mind, is at play.
She's chasing the goodwill, just like Pam Bondi, of the President of the United States. She hasn't been exactly the golden girl in the administration. And I think she wants to get back in the good graces. That's my opinion. And that's why she was there, to show the
I think
president.
that is 100% correct. And I'm sorry, I've got to go catch my flight. I love being on. Can I just plug my Substack?
Yes, please. Please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Dave Aronberg. Come subscribe. It's free. And thank you for having me. I love your show. Let's do it again. Dave Aronberg, DaveAronberg, AKA the Florida Lawman. Thank you.
It's free, Dave, but they can pay if they want, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's free for now. we're gonna add the paid option soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave. Have a safe flight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
We are going to get. I'll release some more. Oh, let me remove him here. So let's just get to some of the details about what he's talking about in Fulton County, Georgia. Okay. So basically, this is going the 700 boxes, I think, of election records were taken and seized. And this is, of course, going back to 2020. The president he's like a dog with a bone on this. I mean, it's 2026, Senator. He just continues to say that election was rigged. How many courts have said, no, there's no evidence of that, and they're continuing. So Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, was seen, down there. And Senator Ossoff basically said she's lurking around in the background. Her office would normally focus on foreign intelligence and adversaries. And so this has been shocking to people in Washington, saying, what is she doing there? And a press secretary for her office says, this is a directive from the president to secure our elections. And go ahead.
It may have been shocking to the people in Washington, D.C., but it wasn't shocking enough for them to do anything about it. Did anybody do anything about it? No. Well, no, nobody did anything about it. It's the whole Article 1 thing again. And it's like arresting Don Lemon. I don't, why isn't Congress at least saying, what are you doing, Mr. President? Why are you doing this? If they're so damn concerned about the primaries, that's why they should be concerned about the general if we have a free and fair election. But obviously what happened in Fulton County might put some problems into that situation. You federalize elections, then not only can the people in Washington, D.C. screw with them, foreign countries can too.
Connie says once the documents are taken, they're compromised. And that's what a lot of people are worried about, Connie, because they don't even know where they are. They don't even know where those files are, if they'll ever see them again. This is very concerning, especially as it is the year 2026. And we have another election, a very big election this year, very big midterm election. And
we also had an election last year where folks, look, the Trump agenda got stepped on and mopped up with that election. And so I think nothing's changed. Nothing's changing after that election than what happened in the previous 10 months. And I think we're headed to a situation, especially if Democrats can come out with a program on what they're going to do if they get in the majority, that impacts working folks and small businesses and family farm and ranch agriculture, where unless they change their ways, they're going to get cleaned up. And by the way, there's a lot of Republicans that know that, Ted Cruz being one of them, by the way. That has already said that if we keep going down this road, there's no chance we're going to win. And so the fact that they went in, took the boxes, it's one thing about 2020, but I agree with Mr. Aronberg. I think it's more about 2026 and what they plan on doing there. Man, I'll tell you what, this was the greatest country on earth, and I still think it has the potential to maintain that, but it's being undermined right and left.
Somebody says, I thought the Fulton County 2020 election records were retained under court order. Does the FBI raid violate that? I don't know. I wish we had Dave still here to talk to us about that, but we will ask that question. Hi to John watching from Missoula's north side here. Okay, so part of the reason we have not had kind of a normal lengthy show is that I've been in Minneapolis all week. A lot of you know that. It's my hometown. Many of you know that. Senator Tester loves to harass me about that. But I was there. Basically, I was going for this platform, for our show, to kind of document and see what was happening on the ground. And then I filled in for Scripps News this week, my old network, obviously, and did some, big reporting there this week. And so I want to just put up this video, and I'll tell it for audio. I'll describe it for our audio listeners here. But this is the scene from today. So a week ago tomorrow, last Saturday, 50,000 people marched in the streets of downtown Minneapolis. I'm sorry, last Friday. And then Saturday morning is when Alex Preddy was killed by ICE agents, or DHS officers, I should say, on Nicollet Avenue, as they were conducting an operation. And he was trying to help a woman up that was pushed down. One thing you should know about that street is that those sidewalks are icy, not like a little bit of ice, like feet thick. I mean, that ice is a thick slab that goes all the way out into the street. So where that woman was pushed down, it's hard to get back up. So he was trying to help her up. And that's when we saw the video that so many of you have probably seen now. So that march last week was before all this happened. This is from today. I saw other protests in other cities. We saw massive financial protests all across the country today. People, canceling subscriptions, not spending money, basically trying to say, we're going to use our money and show that we don't agree with the tactics being used by ICE right now. Lots of businesses closed right here in Missoula, where I am too, Senator. But I also want to put this up. The president put out on True Social today, and he called Alex Preddy an agitator and perhaps an insurrectionist. And he said his stock has gone way down with the newly released video of him screaming and spitting in the face of what the president calls a very calm and under control ICE officer. I'm surprised he would put out something that says his stock has gone way down over a man who lost his life, that people are mourning.
You don't give a damn. You don't give a damn. You don't. If you take a look at what he does to everybody, it's attack, attack, attack. I have not seen the video of him doing anything, but I do know that there were some press people that said, if you look at his phone, it looks like a gun. Are you kidding me? Really? That's why they shot him? I don't think so. This is absolutely ridiculous that you would have anybody in the administration stand up for the fact that somebody hollered he's got a gun and then they unloaded 10 shots into him, maybe more. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's not acceptable. And if he was connected with reality, he would know that, the president.
And the video of him spitting and kicking the car is from many days before.
And are you sure that's him? Are you sure it's him?
BBC has confirmed that it's him.
And how do they know that?
We need to ask our AI experts. I don't know.
And how do they know that? Because he looks like a lot of guys I know that's got a beard. Okay. How do they know that, number one? And how do they know that the officers that shot him were there when if in fact he was the person they took video of? There's 3,000 ICE officers in Minneapolis. I just don't think you can justify killing a human being with a tape from 2 weeks ago without absolutely knowing for absolute sure. I mean, was the dude missing 3 fingers on his left hand? Is that how you know?
Laura says, and she's right, the parents confirmed it was him. The deal is that they're not like the deal is that it's like saying, oh, well, look at this video of him. Yeah, okay, he was an agitator. But on that day when he was shot, I have not seen any video of him being anything but an observer, which, I went in, I talked to people in this big resistance movement, and they're trained on how to observe and without impeding anything. Now the first video shows absolutely a different encounter, but it doesn't change the fact that even if you kick a taillight, generally, that's not a death sentence, not in this country.
No, I don't know. I just think, I watched the video. I haven't seen the video of him there, but by the same token, you got to stretch humanity out a long ways to justify that killing. I'll just tell you that. And then you back that up with the Nicole Good killing. You back that up with other people getting shot. You back that up with ICE pushing people to the ground, not necessarily young people, either old people. You back that up with ICE arresting a 5-year-old kid. No, what's going on here is not acceptable, and it's not acceptable by any civilized human being's perceptions whatsoever. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then you back that up by arresting a journalist, for God's sakes, or 3 or 4 journalists. Yeah. It's a sad time for this country, I will say.
The people in this resistance movement, I talked to quite a few of them, and they're trying to look out for their neighbors. They're trying to protect their neighbors. They're seeing families being rounded up. They're seeing horrific things. I only saw one vehicle. I was there that was ICE. I left last night. I came home last night, and my crew that I was with was out at Whipple today, and they saw another man get detained. I think Scripps News put it on their Instagram. I'll reshare it on ours. But it's happening everywhere. And so the observers go out with whistles, and they use the whistles and yell to try to tell people to stay in your homes. And then when they see people being detained, I mean, it's emotional. They don't want, these people are visibly upset. And I told you, Senator, if I saw a child being forced into a vehicle, I can't imagine that I wouldn't try to go stop it.
Yeah. Yep. I understand. Look, if something's happened in my neighborhood, like Nicole Good did, and she pulls up and rolls down the window and asks what's going on, and somebody says, get out of the car, and the next person says, get out of here, and she gets shot for that. It's her neighborhood. I mean, there's just not a lot of justification here. You have to stretch out a long ways to make this thing meet any level of common sense. It doesn't. And these are human beings. These are people who have families and people they work with. And Alex Preddy's place is a person who worked at the VA and helped veterans. It just doesn't make any sense. And they went on. The first thing the administration did is they said he was a terrorist when he wasn't. Then they said, well, he had a gun, that's why he got shot. And then the NRA came back and said, whoa, baby, you can't be doing that kind of stuff. So they've kind of backed off of that. And now they've got some video that I haven't seen, but I have a hard time believing it myself.
I'll send it to you.
It's fine. But the truth is that you keep going down these lines. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So.
Well, and these are the moments. I interviewed a young middle schooler, and she said, oh, my teachers keep saying that, we're going to be reading about this in the history books. And certainly, absolutely, we're going to remember these names. We're going to remember this time. And it is, one of the people I talked to said this is going to affect generations. There's going to be generational trauma attached to what's happening in Minneapolis right now. Meanwhile, Tom Homan, the so-called border czar, basically talked about a drawdown of DHS presence this week. And he kind of said, if, and then we want to draw down. And Trump basically just negated that last night and said on the red carpet for the Melania movie. I don't know if you've seen this, Senator. There's a movie about Melania right now in theaters. And on the red carpet.
I missed it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you missed Star Wars, so.
I'm sure this is an equivalent of Star Wars too. I'm sure it's
No. I'm not seeing high reviews. But on the red carpet, he said, oh, no, we're not drawing down. No. So, I mean, it just shows that it's past.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the political agenda, after all, Tim Kaine did run with Kamala Harris against him for president.
Tim Walz.
What did I say? Tim Kaine, sorry.
Tim Kaine ran with Hillary Clinton.
I served with Kaine. I mean, man, what can I say? Tim's a Tim. What besides that, I must be getting old. All right.
Oh, you're tired. Oh, you're trying to get off. Okay, one more thing. We are definitely going to a partial government shutdown. That's the last headline I have. That tells you about this day. We are going into a partial government shutdown tonight at midnight. The Senate did pass a funding bill at the last minute. The House, though, is in recess until Monday. So nothing will be done before then, at Monday the earliest. Now, the bill only funds DHS for 2 weeks because of all of these demands and concerns over ICE tactics and DHS operations in Minneapolis and beyond. The president made this deal with the Democrats. He's urging Republican lawmakers to get behind it. What do you think?
Well, look, what I would urge the president to is make some modifications on the ICE stuff, and you might be able to start saving some face. I think, well, it doesn't surprise me that Speaker Johnson doesn't have the House in, because the House is never in. It wasn't in any time during the whole last shutdown. They couldn't swear anybody in that was elected to office. They couldn't. You got more excuses than
I don't know about anyone. They wouldn't swear in Adelita Grijalva because
that's what I mean. The truth is that you know, the governments go, no, we want to go out and drink a little beer on Saturday night, so we're not going to bring the boys back. They could bring them back, and they could vote. It's important, but you know, he's got his own agenda too, and it's usually the same agenda the president has. So, what can I say?
There is some kind of rule though about 72 hours, but I'm not.
But they can void any of those rules anytime they want to void those rules.
I trust you, Senator. I trust you.
The rules are made to be broken.
You only forgot about Dave Aronberg and Tim Kaine tonight.
Well, shit, you know, we had him on a cast. I don't remember names. It takes 7 hits, and it's only been 1 with him. So, okay.
I know. That was unfair. Unfair. I want to say thank you to everyone, and thank you to Debbie. She says, welcome home. She was going to make me a welcome sign. Thank you, Debbie. It's good to be home, but my heart is with Minneapolis. Of course, it's a community that is both struggling and also showing just some incredible beauty right now. And it's always hard for me to leave Minneapolis because that's where I grew up, but it felt really hard last night. But like I posted something and I, you know, basically just said, I've covered so many crises in my career. And like, there's one constant in a crisis, and that is like, there's just some kind of beauty that arises out of it. And that there is beauty that is coming out of this in Minneapolis right now. And that is just like the unconditional love that people are showing for their neighbors. So I just want to tell everyone, if you have friends or family in Minnesota, please check on them. It's really hard there right now. And, you know, there's a lot we can learn from them. I'll say that.
Yep. Amen. Look, actually, the partial government shutdown is a good piece of news. That is a good piece of news. That means that people are talking and trying to come up with a compromise that will work. And that's a good sign. It's just not my way or the highway, because that's kind of how it's been for the last 10 months. All right.
I did forget that Bruce Springsteen released a new song for Minneapolis, and he showed up in Minneapolis today and played a concert at First Ave, and I missed it. He sang The Streets of Minneapolis. So that was a cool moment. I'll try to find a video. The Boss. What does your hat say?
I love The Boss. This is a manufacturing outfit in central Montana. I just grabbed it out of the pack. They do a good job. Where they did when I was a senator. We'll see. I think they still do. All right.
All right. Thank you to everyone. You can find us on Substack, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. You can shoot us an email at groundedpcast@gmail.com. We want to thank Dave Aronberg for hopping on with us. Thank Pearl Jam for letting us use their music. And we'll talk next week, guys. We have Adam Kinzinger and Rachel Maddow next week.
Have we had Adam Kinzinger on before? I want to make sure that I get that.
No, this will be the first time. But
That's good. All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Tally ho.